This week's episode is sponsored by Helio Gas Detection.
Hey everybody, this is Richard from the Metal Cell podcast. I'm delighted to welcome two special guests tonight, Justine and Sammy of Church Road Records. Pleased to meet you lads and welcome on the podcast.
Thank you for having us.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, it's great. And Evan here as well. We're both really looking forward to this. We won't grill him too much, Evan, really. We'll just have a chat more so than bombarding him with questions.
Have an interrogation.
Give us your hard questions.
Yeah. How much money is in your bank account right now? Can I have it?
There's hundreds.
Zero.
Yeah, I guess even just kind of jumping in with like everything is kind of popping off in the employed to serve camp at the minute. You know, like
yes,
with everything coming up with the new album, how has everything been just in a general sense so far? I know that you have a load of other interviews today, so it's not quiet.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Like it's we took our time with this record. Not that we rushed through our other ones, but since we had technically two COVID records, because Eternal Forward Motion came out in May 2019. So we had 6 months of touring that before lockdown happened, and then Conquering was September 2021. So there was still loads of COVID stuff happening. So with this one, we really wanted like a long time, so like things would go back to like normal. And yeah, we just wanted to take our time with it because we're at this point now where this is our fifth album. We don't exactly struggle to find songs for our set now. Like, in fact, it's a struggle to work out what to play.
Picking them out, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So we just really wanted to sort of like really enjoy this process. And like, you know, we like filmed all the videos and stuff like last year, and it was really nice to like have like everything done.
Ooh, so like that's a stress reliever straight away, not having to chase that up. Yeah.
Like, because obviously we all work full time, like this isn't our full time thing. So it like we always end up having like almost like less than 2 months to suddenly do like 3 or 4 music videos in one go. And so this time it was super, it was like nice. I wouldn't say chill because that's like
it's never
chill, but comfortable, I'd say, which is nice.
And with having that kind of extra time, I know, you know, something everyone's going to be asking you is the guesties that you've got on this are. It's incredible. Like, you know, you can't just pass over that. But
no, for sure.
I know on other interviews you've mentioned, you know, you reached out to Will and to Jesse from Killswitch, but you know, say with how much time you had, what was the actual timeline of that? You know, like from when you sent the initial email to having it done, are we talking weeks? Did you send a demo of the song? Was it a mixed version, or kind of how did they? You know, what was the timeline of that?
So we were already in the studio. So we had like roughs. We started demoing pretty much our entire album in full before going into the studio now. So I think we had the roughs because we wouldn't have had the mixes yet because we waited for the mix until we had all the guest vocals in. So I think it would be maybe like the whole thing took about like 2-3 months, I guess, from the demo to the maybe even less.
Yeah, now I'm kind of.
I think it was quite a quick turnaround.
Now I'm looking back on it. I think we might have confirmed that he would be like interested in hearing a track, and we might be able to sort something out whilst we're in the studio. But I don't think it was until we'd wrapped up at least tracking in January of last year until we sent it to Will for him to do his thing. And then I think Jesse was actually, I think he was like fairly down to the last minute.
He was down to the wire because I think
really
because it was quite a last minute thing being able to get him on board, and obviously we wanted him to, you know, be a part of it. Incredible. So I think we held off mixing for a little bit. I think it was like it wasn't that long though. I think maximum couple of weeks. But at that point, because we knew that we weren't going to rush, we were just all like let's just get this done.
Yeah.
You know, worry about every like timeline and everything else later on.
We flew out. Yeah, we flew out to do the videos
in May.
Yeah, so we have a video coming up with Jesse as well, which is going to drop on release day, and Yeah, so we flew out to the States to film those three music videos, so Atonement, Fallen Star, and then the Husadio one with Jesse. And I think we maybe got like the final mixes back. I mean, we had a contingency plan of like we'll shoot the videos with the rough mixes if we have
Because
to.
it's
Yeah,
all
yeah.
be the same anyway.
Yeah, but
Um,
like, yeah, I think we got the final mix back, let's say maybe a week or so before we flew out to the States. And the Jesse thing, I think, was maybe completed a mere few weeks before that. So
it was quite to the wire with the Jesse one, I think.
yeah, but it's kind of funny, like you say, with all this kind of like planning, there's still, there's still going to be
Madness.
last minute
There's
additions
always
that happen.
you
Did you
take
have
time to
to?
allocate yourself,
Yeah.
basically. That's
Yeah.
classic.
Did you have to have any of those moments to say to like Jesse Leach or Will Ramos being like, "It's good, but can you do it again?" Or
There
did they
was,
get it one and done?
well, in terms of like, yeah, I mean, there wasn't anything where we're like, yeah, we don't like it. But I think the only bit of feedback we gave was there's one part in the Jesse track where we just like that line needs to be one of his like, yeah, like
Yeah.
high
Yeah.
vocals. So we're like, yo, this is sick, but this one particular line, if you don't mind delivering it, with that signature um cry scream of yours, that would be
Yeah, I
awesome.
think it makes it.
And then the thing we keep talking about, which is it was the real like whoa kind of moment, was when we contacted Will about his guest spot. We weren't aware of his singing voice at this point, so
I don't
we'd
think
not.
anyone was, were they?
Well, I think it's like
Yeah,
obviously
he
he's
did
got a good.
YouTube covers of like sleep.
Okay, yeah,
I
yeah.
wasn't
Yeah.
aware of that at the time. So yeah, I was like, well, he's been keeping that quiet. And I think he really did.
Right, and like we sent him just like the yeah, we sent him like the verse with like the screen bit. We were like, this is what we're thinking, but obviously get creative, do your thing. And he just sang the last chorus of his own accord, and we were like, wow, okay, that's awesome. Loved it. And also thank you very much, because it's a great talking point as well to have him showcasing his not just his amazing monster vocals, but also his
Mm.
incredible singing
Mm,
voice. So
his crooning.
his
It's
crooning.
cr- it's mad as well. It's one thing to get them on the track, but to have two of them work out to be in videos as well, it's like it seems
Yeah,
like
I
just a
didn't
lot
think it
of
was gonna happen, to be honest. Like it was
yeah,
very like touch and go because obviously we had to get visas and things like that. So it's like whether all of that could happen because the US could very much go like no.
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, so like Jesse was able to make it onto the set to film with, and then we went to Will's house to film in
Oh,
his
really?
garage for
Yeah.
his one. Because yeah, I was very prepared to just like green screen them onto a TV, the classic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we were super lucky and we ended up filming it in his garage and he's into like drift racing, I think it's called. So
Yeah.
like we ended up like just sort of moving a few like tires and stuff out and then like sort of repurposed his like garage into his studio. He was super friendly. Like the fact that like I just met the guy, like we were like taking over his house for a few hours and I was just yelling in his face. He was very nice.
Yeah.
That's good going. It I could imagine if it was like one of those things where he was just a pain to work with would have really kind of killed the whole like I wish we never
Yeah.
actually met him. He just sent the song, but it's
Yeah.
great that
Yeah.
he ended
Yeah,
up being such a cool
super
dude.
lovely.
And it's one of those moments as well, like where I don't know, those kind of weird, kind of surreal moments in being in a band where it's not the usual thing of like playing a show or doing something,
Hmm.
any kind of band stuff. It's like I'm here in like Will Ramos's house in New Jersey, crouched down in his like garage, pressing play on my laptop, so Justine can like his
Scream
face.
at him. Yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's
felt very much
very
like
bizarre.
a fever dream because we flew in the day before and we filmed three music videos in two and a bit days.
Oh,
There was no
Crazy.
like the day before shooting, we flew in at 9 p.m. So like we were so jet lagged, like it felt mental. So we are like completely on the wrong like time zone
Yeah.
and like filming like doing like 12 to 14 hour days of shooting. It was like such an insane like time. It was really fun, like and quite wild. Just like yeah, because
And did any of the lads feed back to you about your own music? Was it nice to hear any compliments, or can you take compliments?
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, as you know, Jesse Leach was like, "This sucks."
This
fucking-"
sucks. I'll do it. A charitable
Yeah,
guy. No, he was complimentary and yeah, it was just really nice. Like,
yeah.
yeah.
They were. I'm trying to remember the sort of like specifics, but I remember them both being like, yeah,
into it, like
yeah, and just very like, encouraging as well. And
Of course, yeah.
take the time to come down and will to have us like come to his house
it's
and
very intrusive. Do you know what I mean? Especially when
Yeah.
you don't
Yeah.
like weird.
random people from the UK you've literally never met in your life, and then
And so he's smaller than his band as well. You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
and Jesse came down, like he made a point of coming down early just to like hang out and have a couple of
Yeah, and he
beers.
like went to the bar with us afterwards. He was just very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was a very, very inspiring and just, overall, I mean, exhausting, but incredible experience.
Worth it. Worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Do you think that would kind of open up, or was there any talks about playing together? Because I feel like it'd be weird not to be like, we should hang out another time, like on a stage.
Well, we sort of did with Jesse because we spent a bit longer with him, but I also didn't want to push my luck, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
I want to
yeah.
be that person, but let's be best friends. So, like, but I think it's like a given, do you know what I mean? We're sort of like, especially since like they're on like a couple of our tracks. I mean, it makes perfect sense to sort of support them and like, on the odd special occasion, get them to like do their bit. So hopefully at festival season or something like that, we might cross paths but yeah, like I like to think we may be on their mind, hopefully.
Jesse,
Especially in the UK, like
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be weird if they did a headliner and they didn't reach out, if it was. I feel like that seems like something that definitely will happen anyway.
Yeah,
I think
hopefully
so,
so.
yeah.
I mean, we're just lucky enough to have them on the tracks anyway, so
Of course, yeah, yeah.
and if they announce a tour without us, you guys can go give them a load of hate.
you're like,
So,
that's
Oh,
weird.
yeah.
Round
I
up
thought we're recording this.
boys, what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, you said it. We got it confirmed here.
Yeah.
So let's go on to Church Road Records. He founded it in 2017, and it's been some journey so far, lads, hasn't it?
It has been. It really
Yeah,
has.
we've been slaving away. Five years full time this year we've been doing it.
That's
That's
incredible.
incredible.
Because we did it during the pandemic when I lost my job. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just
Same.
I guess with regards to that, and I'm not going to go into the specifics of it. Anyone can research about how Holy Roar ended, but what I've always been so interested in is that time frame of Holy Roar disbanding, finishing. Am I right in saying Palm Reader had one of their albums coming out like a week or two was supposed to be
It
coming out?
was Svalbard, and then it was Palm Reader immediately after, and then it was
That was it.
Fire, and then Forward. Like it was literally four, one after the other.
And
Yeah.
like start
Oh,
right on the cusp.
I think it was, yeah, I think I had like two and a bit weeks to set up the infrastructure before it was out.
How was that?
It was
Horrible.
It was
So much fun.
yeah. I have to say, like, I mean, obviously we were all sort of pitching in to help and stuff, but like full credit to Justine on those weeks because obviously with, shutting down a record label, in that short space of time, it's not like flicking off a light switch, Justine was trying to do right by the bands and
Yeah.
contact them and people getting out of contracts and stock getting sent. So it just wasn't being, thrown in the trash. So yeah, it was this whole operation of getting that shut down in the space of like a week, whilst like Justine says, simultaneously reaching out to distribution companies and because Church Road at that point was just me and it was like a passion project. So I had the website, I had the logo and stuff like that, but I had no like real distribution or any of those things. So that's when Justine came in and was like, right, I'm gonna make this a fully fledged operation.
It was wild, and also just being like money as well because
Yeah.
there's no guarantee like people were going to pre-order the record. So I was like, I've got vinyl bills to pay. Like this is,
Yeah, of course.
it was very much a gamble. Like I was like, I could be in a lot of debt if no one
It must
buys
have
it.
been, it must have been quite scary to do, and to have the bands that did trust you to come over, it must have been, I can imagine a lot of pressure just on being, releasing, as we talked about earlier, releasing an album in general is stress, but having to do it with all this and, I can imagine there was sleepless nights during that.
I didn't
frame.
sleep for like properly for about a month. It was like insane.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I guess on that note as well, it's like it's good to shout out obviously the bands that, trusted Justine and myself to kind of step in and do what we could in the short time we had, but then also the people that supported us by picking up the record. I mean,
Yeah,
the
without either
overwhelming,
of them, we wouldn't be around. So
because I think, Svalbard's record and, Palm Reader's records were like, I don't know, I can't say for sure now because they've, Svalbard have released records since, but at that point in time, they were definitely two of their two of the biggest records either band had sort of put out. So to see everyone kind of get on board and pick it up, and we launched a subscription service pretty early doors as well, and people signed up to that, and we had some people who dropped off afterwards, but they said like, look, we signed up because we wanted to help you guys out in this tricky time. So full credit and love to all of those people.
Yeah, there did seem to be quite a good kind of, because I remember that time because it was during kind of the lockdown thing where everyone was like painfully on the internet, so it was even magnified even more because nobody had anything else to do, so but there always seemed to be this kind of outpouring of love for ye to be able to, because I think people respected the fact that this isn't, there's like, this wasn't the plan, so it was great to see a whole scene kind of jump at the opportunity to help in whatever way.
And how did she come up with the subscription club, actually, lads?
We did it for Holy Roar. That's something we sorted like back in 2017, I think we started. So it's something we did anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really liked that business model because it is so stressful, like running a label. Like you have no idea. Like it's like betting on horses. Like so sometimes like this is it. This is like one of the best records ever. And just because I love this record doesn't mean people will buy it.
You never know.
And it's heartbreaking. But like,
Yeah.
To sort of give you a ballpark figure, it costs about $3 to $4 grand to buy a pressing of vinyl. You got to think that's like a huge outlay, and then on a gamble, like you could sell one record, you have to pay that bill. So the fact that we have the subscription model means that I have like somewhat reliable income to sort of be like, right, I can cover the vinyl bill,
Yeah.
I think it actually makes me able to like take risks on bands, whereas before like it was very much like hand to mouth, like is this gonna work? So it pretty much just copied that over from the old label.
Yeah, and in saying that,
I was just looking. Sorry, just in relation to Church Records, the subscription fee, Evan, I don't know, do you know, it's €30 per month, and just for what you get on that, then is 10% off physical items, exclusive subscriber to vinyl color, exclusive subscriber only content, which includes demos, instrumental versions of songs, and in the event where there's a month that doesn't have a release, you'll get exclusive merch for the value of your subscription, and you'll also be the first to hear about new releases, tours, and merch. Is that sums it up really, or am I missing anything?
Yeah, more or less. Like sometimes
cool.
it's hard to like completely keep up with the demos and stuff because some bands just don't want them to. people like,
some bands' demos are more polished than other bands' demos.
Yeah, like we have a release a month forward, and like when we don't, like we give a gift card over so you can buy whatever you want. We have like district stuff, we have merch, and all sorts of things really.
It's a great model to have, lads. Fair play.
But I guess kind of in saying that, like, where you're looking at that big gamble of taking a band on, I know a lot of bands kind of ask the question of how do we get a label? How do we get signed? But I'd be more interested to hear from you rather than kind of how, but when do you think is a good time for a band? When should a band start looking for a label? Because I know, especially for younger bands, they kind of idolize this thing of, a label, but also not knowing what can they offer. Are you looking for, because a brand new band will be a much bigger risk than a band that has been touring and maybe self-releasing and doing whatever they're doing. Does that kind of come into play for a lot of it, or what advice would you have for bands trying to find the right time or when they would actually need it?
We pick up bands at different levels all the time. So sometimes we pick up bands who used to be on majors, so who are a lot on like further along, or we've literally just picked up a band called Believe in Nothing.
Yeah.
But haven't released anything. So it varies. But the biggest thing is just making sure you're good live. Like you have to cut your teeth live, because if you can't play live, it's useless. Like there's so many TikTok artists and stuff now, but that's just not that's not our genre. Like you need to be able to play. You get found out very quickly if you can't play live.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
so we just need bands who are willing to at least do a few, like 'cause obviously I know everyone works full time, so like touring months on end is not
Yeah,
viable.
for sure.
But like, people willing to do weekenders, they're like willing to sort of like push the record, um, you know, and be like, if I, and try and take yourself out of it. It's like if I had recorded this and saw it on a vinyl, would I buy it? Is it
Mm.
good enough quality to like, or do you still need to work? Because like I get it, it's really exciting being like I've written my first songs and stuff, and I want them recorded and I want them on vinyl. It's like, but is it like the best you can do, or can you just spend a few more years like grafting to get to that point where it's like, someone's willing to part £30 on it because
Yeah.
people are broke right now, right? So
Yeah.
it's even harder to sort of sell things. So yeah, it's just sort of like, like getting live down and just making sure the songs as good as they can be and like are listenable, well
Yeah.
recorded.
It's like figuring out who you are as well,
Mm,
right? I mean, there are exceptions to the rule, like Justine, stated with Believe in Nothing, but with them, they'd already been gigging for a while and they'd really, I feel like, honed in on what their sound was. And
yeah.
they've recorded a bulk load of music and they have like a clear idea of one, obviously how it sounds, but then how it's presented and then what the rollout of that's going to be. You know what I mean? Whereas, and I was guilty of this totally, when I was younger as well. You'd write a bunch of demos or something and you haven't played any shows and you're immediately getting in touch with labels and wanting to get
Yeah.
stuff going. But if you listen to, like, for example, the early ETS stuff, we were figuring out who we were. We hadn't really
Mm.
got a clue yet. We
Mm.
had all these influences coming from
It
everywhere.
wasn't until like our second record we really sort of got into our stride, to be honest, with that, because we were still a bit like all over the place.
Mm.
But yeah, and another huge thing is like the community aspect. I hate it when bands open and then they pack up their gear and they go. Like they just don't bother supporting any of the other bands. They're like, well, why does no one want to support us? And it's
Yeah,
like you need a community spirit, especially in like this tiny little scene, because when there's only 5 people at a show, you notice the band sneaking out the back.
I
Yeah.
could not agree more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I've like, I've seen it so many times, like from us being a headliner and things like that. And then they try and hit you up an email, be like, yeah, let's do that again. And it's like, obviously fair enough if you've got like kids to come home to look after
Yeah.
and
I mean,
stuff.
obviously, if you've got like something
Yeah,
you got to
like
go do,
I'm
then
not, yeah,
that's totally.
Yeah,
heartless.
Yeah,
people are
but like when
human,
they're
but if
young though, like when they're
if they're
like
doing it every gig, you're like,
yeah. No.
Yeah,
The
or like
scene is
not
too small, lads, especially
mm,
in Ireland as well. Like we have fantastic bands at the moment in Ireland. I just you just go, how is it that we've so many amazing bands that every one of them have just cut their teeth playing live, and that's what the scene is here. It's just if you can play live, you'll get more gigs and you'll get more attention and stuff like that. And of course, over in the UK as well, it's just like so many bands now are just hitting form at the right time. And as a record label, like I'm sure just even your time alone, like where do you get the time to actually listen to music? Do you have to shut yourselves away, or like do you go to the gym and listen to it, or how do you cope with it? Like,
Yeah. So I go to the gym, so I listen to like I'm pretty good with like having like I have a saved Spotify library basically, and I go through every single one. So I listen to them at the gym. I go for walks a lot because otherwise my back hurts from sitting all day. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
a prawn over the laptop.
I'm the worst. I end up like my leg
Yeah,
because
you
I'm sat
crossed,
like
yeah.
Gollum, like,
Um, and then we do listen to music 24 like all day through the office. So like when we have proper submissions and stuff that are on SoundCloud and things, we listen to them at the desk and
mm,
have it
Yeah, and
on in the background.
we do listen to everything as well that comes
Mm,
through, like the info out and stuff, and we try and get back when we can, and because we know how important it is, because we have had, many of like our, people we've signed come through that way. It's
mm.
always a mix. Sometimes we'll get recommended something by a friend, sometimes we'll just find something, by, scouring the internet. Other times someone will be supporting one of our bands and we see them there. And, sometimes someone sends us something and we're like, we love this. I remember
okay.
off the top of my
Yeah.
head, Grey Wave was just,
A
great
submission,
band.
land
yeah,
or like yeah, like it's actually quite rare now where we actually like actively find a band
Mm,
like in terms of like just because of time
Yeah.
and because we work quite a hard like a far ahead. We're almost like a year out on releases like ahead of ourselves. So like a lot of the time, like our friends or like our bands on a current roster are like we just played like this band just opened up for us. They're really sick. Make sure you check them out.
Mm.
It's like word of mouth or like, and we do
Mm.
like find bands like Sammy said through the email submission form. So yeah,
Going back also to, advice for younger bands or, new bands and stuff, the ones that we do notice of our own accord are the ones that are out there doing stuff,
yeah.
because we are on Instagram a lot because we're running the band page, our personals and the church
We
roadwork
go to
stuff.
like smaller venues in London a lot. We're always at the Black Heart. Like we go to the Dev. We go to all the small venues. So like, if you want to get our attention, play with our bands.
Yeah.
It's a very
What we do a lot actually, Evan, as well, is in our scene anyway, I'm not sure about yours, is that a lot of the bands that play Ireland will also wear other bands' t-shirts,
mm,
and be
Oh, I
on
reckon that was
Instagram.
always massive. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great community that way as well. There's no one-upmanship in Ireland. It wouldn't be tolerated really, Ev, would it?
Especially in Cork, I think.
Yeah.
I've said this, fuck, I guarantee you people are sick of me saying it, but I'm going to keep saying it. Is Cork is different to
by the
everywhere
flag.
where
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But it's definitely it's just so different where it's like there really is no there isn't really like a genre gap because it's too small that it's
Mm.
kind of everyone's just there. There's not like here's the hardcore scene, here's the metal scene, here's the whatever, and we have God alone. So
Yeah.
but it's everyone really does want to help people that get involved in the scene, whether it be like photographers coming up, just because they want to get involved, they start getting involved in photography, come to Dead Cult shows or anything going on. But that kind of community feel, because they're the people as well that if you're supportive of them, they'll back you when
Yeah.
you need it. It's not just,
Uh,
oh, these guys got too big now, fuck that. Everyone's very kind of
Mm.
supportive of each other. And I think it's healthy and it helps.
That's it.
Yeah,
And because of I'm sorry, I just
no,
talk
no,
over
go for
you.
it.
And because of like COVID and like internet being a very big social media like sort of bans being a very very big thing, it's very dangerous sort of to become very isolated and very much like I said, leaving early and not bigging up other bands and being quite selfish with your success.
Mhm.
Like for example, like when we were coming up, it was us, Svalbard, Palm Reader, Baby Godzilla slash Heck, like all those bands, we'd book each other's shows. So we were all from different parts of the UK. So we do like show swaps. So we were like, well, let's do a tour together. I'll book the London one, like Svalbard will book the Bristol one. And like we'll do literally show swaps so that we have a tour between us.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing, there's not many booking agents at the moment because they've had to like actually make money and like book bigger bands. So small bands are going to have to book their own shows, or we've even had to put our own shows on because at the beginning no one booked us because no one would like give us a chance. So it's like, well, instead of feeling sorry for yourself, you got to find a small venue that do bar deals. That's a huge one. It's like they
Yeah.
guarantee you money, but they're like, we'll give you bar taking. It was like what, 150 quid back when we did it. And you can pay a bit of petrol to each of the bands and like
Mm.
yeah, do things like that. So there's like definitely ways of making things happen.
Yeah.
You just got to do it. That's the
Yeah.
Yeah, get out there.
And that's the thing. It's like if you're not willing to put effort into your own band, you can't expect other people to reciprocate. You can't have the label or like the booking agent or other bands do more effort than you are, like on your own band, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
And it's still a mentality that, by no means are we like the biggest band in the world or anything like that. But, we're a bit further along and we have booking agents and a great record label and all of this stuff. But we're always focused on what is 100% in our control. Like,
Mm.
okay, we can write the songs and we can decide when we put it out. When's our headline tour going to be? What are the things that we can book now that we know that we've got like our next couple of years booked up? And then the rest of, the other stuff that's more kind of wishful thinking and you have to kind of
Yeah.
let fate kind of decide.
Yeah, like the festival bookings or the support tours, like the wish list sort of stuff. That's
Yeah.
that control, and they can sort of slot in around those sort of key plans in your control.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was few and far between when we first started. We'd be happy just to have like a festival come in. That was the biggest deal in the world when we were getting our first festivals. But before then, it was like, okay, we're going to go to mainland Europe then, and we'll book the tour ourselves, and the same with the UK, and just make sure our years like filled up with stuff that we've booked, so we know
Yeah.
we've got stuff on. Because if you are waiting for things to come to you, you could wait
Yeah,
forever,
I mean,
you know.
just time waits for no one, right? Like,
Yeah.
try and
Closed
get a
mouth doesn't get
couple of
fed.
shows
Like,
every quarter. You know, it's like
yeah. Yeah.
tender every quarter. You can fit it around work. You can do it without financially crippling yourself, in
Yeah.
theory.
Yeah.
Just a
But
question there for you lads. How important are collaborations in with other labels, artists, or businesses in growing the label's presence? For example, you partnered up with Damnation for A Night of Salvation, which was a huge success in my opinion. But like, maybe just talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. I think on all levels, collaborations are
Yeah.
hugely
mm,
important.
Like, it's not the be all end all, but it always helps. Like, we've always
Mm.
been very affiliated with Arctangent. Like, they book at least like 10 of our bands pretty much every year. It's going back to that community spirit and sort of like shouting about each other and
Yeah.
like, you know, support, like flying the flag for these awesome festivals that are supporting our bands, you know. And yeah, we try to do the best by making sure we're pushing their festivals. It's like it takes more than one festival and one band to like carry a scene. It's like a collective at the end of the day. So, you know, the more you can work with each other, the better, really.
I
yeah.
think
Oh no,
musical.
work away, Sammy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was just going to say from a musical standpoint as well, I think you're seeing a lot more artists collaborating with people just on the one-offs and stuff. Because I mean, I don't think we'll ever completely move away from like the album format as a whole. And I obviously would hope we wouldn't, because I still love that. But you see
Mm.
people do sort of standalone singles where they collaborate with, you know, artists in their scene. And it's another way of sharing fan bases and kind of being able to help each other out by exposing each other to, you know, new
Yeah.
listeners. And
I mean, having Will Ramos and Jesse Leach and Serena on our tracks is going to really help, you know, like it already has with Will Ramos because it's already out. But, you know, it's like it's free advertising if you want to, you know,
Oh,
get
100%.
marketing about it, you know, like it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like, it's like when I was younger, like the biggest thing for me was those compilation CDs.
Yeah.
The
Like
Kerrang and Metal Hammer ones. Yeah, yeah.
it's
exactly.
effectively like it's playlisting and yeah, like metal karaoke now. Like that's
And with working with Spine Farm, is there anything you kind of take from them that you move into Church Road? I know since always do press for prosthetic and kind of having an idea of how three separate labels are working. Is there anything that you're kind of taking from them, uh, something positive to be able to bring into your own label? Or is it all just totally different worlds because they're all different level labels, so to speak?
I feel like we very much borrow from each other. So I've been
Mm.
good friends with Kev from BSM for like years now, for like a decade. And like we have our little independent label support group
Oh,
where
whenever we are in trouble,
we
it's
go
like,
for beers
yeah,
and we drink and moan and like work out things to like, you know, we help each other out. So I have that with Kev from BSM, which is like very helpful. And then I've known EJ for a couple of years now, and I always hit him up. Or like Trey from Death Wish, I've asked if you like.
Mm.
I've always been like quite good at just asking because like I feel like sometimes because of like labels being well, they are businesses, aren't they? Instead of sort of being like kind of what's the word? Insular, we try to like also like, you know, I speak to other labels and stuff because, you know, we have Deathwish running our distro, for example, and that's helped us out massively because of Brexit and just
Yeah.
import taxes to US and now tariffs. Um,
Yeah.
uh,
Jesus.
uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh
like
my God.
it's helpful and like and equally if there's like a label smaller than us and stuff who email me out of the blue, I always try to at least like give them help and things because it's how, you know, how things work really.
Yeah,
yeah.
Mm.
yeah,
I think we
Like,
bought, yeah, definitely take bits and bobs, and also from like our management as well these
Mm,
days. Like, there's always real useful. I mean, because we're managed by like two people, and one of them used to work for like a lot of record labels as well, and have like a lot of insider knowledge about
yeah.
Spotify and DSPs. And I think, yeah, if you've got this wealth of like people surrounding you are working in, you know, because me and Justine have to wear all hats at Church Road,
yeah.
you know. these people are here. We may as well take advantage of their knowledge and try
Yeah.
and absorb as much as we can.
Because no one, it's constantly changing at the moment. Like, long gone are the days where it was very formulaic, like album cycle, tour for 2 years, album, and then like, or like everything was very physically driven, and you could like get a jet. You know what I mean? Like, it's very much sort of like scrimping and saving, and sort of like everything's constantly changing. There's social media, there's new platforms, new
Yeah.
algorithms to try and appease. So it's now the more than ever, it's so important to sort of like get more it keeps going back to it, but community back into things, and just like we're not being afraid of asking for help. I have like friends who also work, because I've been around for a while now, have friends who work in major labels, and even with them, even though they've got a completely different business model, I'm always like asking them for like tips and things like that, and vice versa. So,
I think, yeah, and not to go on too much, but I think, been given advice for younger bands, but I think the same kind of applies to bands who have been doing it as long as we have or longer, where I think it's very easy, doing anything right, but to become jaded because, at times there
Yeah.
are pretty difficult. We've had our fair share of troubles in like the last couple of years, but we kind of try and keep this like fan first mentality and make sure that we just love the music scene that we're in and we enjoy being a part of it. And we're not here to try and be like our own island and try and get to the top and have all the glory. It's like, no, we feel
Yeah.
extremely be in this world and work with so many incredible people, be it bands or whatever,
Mm.
artists, photographers. And I think you've got to keep that excitement for it. Otherwise, you
yeah,
know what I
otherwise,
mean? It's
otherwise you might as well work in finance and actually make money. Make
yeah,
money. You know?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to enjoy it.
There you
Like,
go.
Wait, you
that
can do that?
that is
No one
Yeah.
told me.
I mean, that's why, like, instead of when things ended with Holy Roar, like, I could have gone to a major label and worked for someone else, but I just couldn't leave them. I couldn't, like, I cared so much about what I was working on, and I had such like, a relationship with all these bands I was working with. It wasn't even a question for me to not like put their album out, and from there I've been able to, work this full time because of them. So yeah, it's nice.
Justine, as well, like when you look at some bands recently that have split up because of band members' behavior, there's one in prominent one, but I won't name anyway. Like, do you find yourself as a woman who co-runs a record label, like, do you find the scene is very aware and very inclusive?
I think so. Like, it's
Cool.
changing way more than when I started. Like, that's for
Right.
sure. Like, I could count on one hand how many other women were about, But now there's like so many. Like, most of our team at Spine Farm are women, for example. And yeah, and I have loads of industry friends who are women, and likewise with bands. So it's like, yeah, it's a lot more inclusive. Which is nice. I just think it's way more exciting for different points of view to be involved, because like they have different experiences, like from different backgrounds or different
Mm.
cultures. And that's what art is, isn't it? It's like expression. So
Yeah.
if it's the same sort of person consistently, it's nothing's going to be new anymore.
and particularly this type of music as well. I mean, it's surely heavy metal, rock, or any type of alternative extreme music is always about being the voice of anyone who's felt marginalized. So
Yeah.
when people have tried to excluded communities that feel marginalized, it's just been the most backwards
Yeah.
mentality. I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah, I mean, a huge one that comes to mind is Lowen, who
Great
sings
band.
a lot about sort of Iranian politics, and sort of history and stuff. And I only knew sort of surface level stuff that like from the news and things like that. But it's made me read into their culture a lot more. And it's actually a very awesome tool for like spreading knowledge and, and all the struggles that Iranian people, especially women, go through.
Mm. Yeah. I actually tried to get them on the podcast when they were in Iran, and I was going through, I think, one of their management, and first of all, they said they would, and then with around 3 days to go, they backed out of it, because literally, if they were found out, like, they'd be thrown in jail for forever, like, it
yeah,
was
It's literally,
incredible.
yeah, it's so scary to think like something that is like an absolute privilege that we take for granted, about being able to
Mm.
express ourselves,
exactly. Yeah,
you don't really think
affect,
about it
yeah.
because it's something you've always been able to do. So yeah, it's just sad really, but yeah.
Yeah. Any other
Is
questions
there?
there, Ev?
Yeah, just I guess even just I guess to finish up, was there which of the bands that you've signed over the years, that what was the kind of moment where you kind of finalized the deal and you're like, yes, we did it? Like,
that's easy. IRES. I
oh,
have
class.
been bullying them to let me work with them for like, well, I fell in love with them in 2020 when I was setting up Church Road and I was in the pits of despair. I got so into that album Floor. That is literally what I listened to on loop when I was having my meltdowns. And I from then I was like, please let me release this. Please let me release this.
Justine described it as she's slowly been eroding that cliff face.
I was the sea. I've been eroding at them. And finally I got to work with them in was it last? No, it wasn't last year. The year before. God, what year? It was last year. Yeah, last year.
Yeah, I'm getting.
Who am I? What year am I?
What year am I?
Yeah, I finally got to work on their record and got them over to the UK and yeah, saw them live and it was very lovely.
That was a good full circle moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, full circle is what I was thinking on that. All right.
So like just the last question there, like, so how do you define success for the label and the artists you represent in 2025? What does it look like?
Breaking even.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
It's not me being pessimistic. It's
No.
an absolute gift to be able to pay bills.
I would add to that without being overly corny and cheesy. I would say that is success on a financial level. And I would say for band and everything we do it is being happy and content with what we're doing. And I mean that honestly. I don't want to sound like super sappy and like I'm saying it to sound like a nice guy, but I mean, it's always kind of been our mentality, but even more so since 2020. And I think realizing how many different things can just be yanked away from you at any given second, being able to do this, speaking with, you fine gentlemen today and stuff, it's like every aspect of it, we love doing it and just,
long may it continue. And it's, just, it's a very rubbish time at the moment for like a lot of people, like, being able to afford to do their creative hobbies. And, I think every day that we're able to survive is a gift, really. So, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, brilliant. So you've been listening to Justine and Sammy of Church Road Records. Where can we find you? You're all across social media.
Churchroadrecords.com, employedtoserve.com. Everything's all
the info you need. It's their tour dates and upcoming releases.
And get that subscription in as well, lads.
Although I haven't updated the roster page.
But by the time this comes out,
2021. Well, do you know what? It's on this to-do list and it keeps going.
That's a long list.
At some point, maybe when the album's out, I should hopefully have an up-to-date. But on Bandcamp, churchroadrecordsbandcamp.com, it's correct.
Ideal.
Excellent.
Accurate. Yeah.
All the releases on.com though, so you'll work on it.
Yeah, just not the roster. There's only like 5 bands on it or something. We definitely have more than 5 bands. Ongoing joke between me and Harry from Burner because Burner aren't even on it.
We have to get Burner in. The shout out. Yeah.
Burner since their first EP.
My baby boys. My baby boys.
Plug a photo and like update it.
Everyone but Burner.
Yes.
And come here, we have to give a shout out to Mastiff as well, who are playing Cork.
Hell yeah.
Another one of great UK bands that come over to Ireland, and just fucking nail it every time.
Yeah, legends.
So yeah, that's it, lads. Thanks a million, Justine, Sammy, and Evan. Much appreciated for joining us tonight. And check out Church Records. You're doing a fantastic job, lads. Big up to you. Thank you.
Just having us.